Welcome back to EDFF. I'm Ding, and tonight we'll talk about some waiver acquisitions to target or avoid this week. And if you enjoy these podcasts, text a friend. Tell them to give us a listen. Spread the word. All right, we've got some big injuries from week 7, so let's get an update before we jump in. Ayuk, he's out for the season with an ankle injury. Evans is out for at least through week 11. Kittle is day-to-day with a foot sprain. Winston will start. Tua hopefully will start. Olave may play week 8. Debo was released from the hospital. He'll have to be monitored this week. Patterson might return this week. Limited was Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, Whittington, and Nakua. Welcome back. And then full practice was Kupp. He should play this week. Now remember, there's a lot going on. So if you don't have time to monitor all these guys, that's what I do. Make it easy on yourself. Follow me on X, and you'll get updates as soon as I do. Now let's look at some key waiver wire ads you should be targeting or avoiding. I'm only looking at the ones that are less than 50% rostered, and there are no bye week teams for week 8. So a lot are available. At quarterback, number 1 is Tua. He's 46% owned versus Arizona. There's really no need to explain it. He's risky, though, I have to say, and Arizona played tough defense against the Chargers, but, welcome back, Tua. Number 2 is Knicks versus Carolina. This could be a huge week for him. It's a bad defense. He gets them in Denver. This could be a 3-touchdown game for him. And then Russell Wilson, he's 8% owned versus the Giants. Now, he's a long-term ad, but the Giants bring a lot of pressure, so he's going to get sacked a few times. I don't think he's going to repeat last week's 30-plus PPR performance. I see them running the ball more, hopefully with Harrison Warren. And then finally at quarterback, May and Winston are out there, but they both have tough matchups. May's going up against the Jets. Winston has Baltimore, so they both look good moving forward, but I don't think I want to roster him this week. At running back, Jonathan Brooks. Now, I know he's 63% owned. He's not even going to play until week 9. But there's really no one left on the waiver wire, and he could be a difference maker down the line on a team that needs to find out if he's worth that draft pick. The second running back is Justice Hill. He's 19% owned. Henry is amazing, and he's not a start right now. But what we saw was that Henry needed a rest on Monday Night Football, and Hill got plenty of touches. He's the biggest upside back in the NFL. And if Henry were to miss any time, or you own Henry, Hill must be rostered before the playoffs because you got to protect yourself with that handcuff. And if you don't own him, if Henry goes down in the playoffs, wow, you've got an RB1 right there. Okay, now the one that everyone's asking me questions about, wide receiver. Who do I go get with all these guys who are injured? All right, my number 1 pick is Jalen McMillan. They're up against Atlanta, which was a shootout last time. You know they're going to throw the ball, but he wasn't in that game. This Monday night, he got 8 targets, even with Godwin in the game all the way up to the end when Evans went out early. So I could see him getting 14 targets. Shepard's out there. I'm not personally a fan of him, but if you took some deep injuries and you're looking for somebody, he's probably going to get 5 to 7 targets. My second wide receiver is Khalif Raymond out of Detroit. They're going up against Tennessee. He's 0% owned. I guarantee you he's out there. The trouble with Jameson Williams, that's just a big issue. He could get suspended. That's going to open up Raymond to be a wide receiver number 2. He's got great speed. He saw increased targets. You saw him get that touchdown. He looks really good. He got a lot of reps. He's going to get more playing time. And if you get points in your league for return yards, he's going to give you credit there too. My third wide receiver is Keon Coleman for Buffalo. Now he's at Seattle. And you would think that with the Cooper addition that he would take a back seat. Well, he didn't. He actually increased. All right. He actually got 7 or 8 targets, even with Cooper in the game, and he caught 4 of those. I think he sees a bump moving up because Cooper is commanding double coverage and he's getting single man coverage. And that's great for a young speedster like that. And then the last wide receiver I'll talk about is Hardman. He's 0% owned. He's up against Las Vegas in Las Vegas. I'd stay away from him. I don't like the way Mahomes just picks a new wide receiver every week to target. It just doesn't make any sense. He goes after the tight ends, Kelsey, Gray, and then the running backs get all the love. Hardman's only going to get a couple of catches. He gets some return yards, so there's some bonus points there, but I don't see him getting like a 10 catch kind of week. I could be wrong. At the tight end position, start off with Taysom Hill. He's 28% owned. They're at the Chargers. Olave's injured. He could come back though. Shahid's gone. He gives you quarterback points as well. Even though the Chargers are a tough defense, if he plays, you could end up seeing a couple of points both as quarterback as well as tight end. So That's a good thing. The second tight end out there, Jonnu Smith, he's 4% owned versus Arizona. Now I know Tua's coming back. He'll probably start throwing back to Hill again, which is awesome. Waddle's going to get his love. But I think the coaching staff saw what Jonnu Smith brings to the table, and he's very talented. So I think the coaches are going to go ahead and call more plays directly for him. So I think Jonnu Smith moving forward is still a good play. My third tight end is Disley. He's 0% owned versus New Orleans. Now, I'm not chasing him. The Chargers have no receivers, and he got some tough yards. He's gained Herbert's trust. At defense, let's talk Atlanta first. They're 12% owned. They're at Tampa Bay. The loss of Tampa's big two wide receivers could create a lot more turnovers for a defense, which is normally a tough out. I know it was a shootout last time, so there's some danger here. And then the second one is Houston. They're 48% owned. They're up against Indiana at home this time. They didn't do well the first time, but they're at home. Richardson looks awful. And if JT is out, this could be a better play. All right, that's it for the Week 8 waivers. Week 9, to look ahead, there are two teams on the bye, the Steelers and the Niners. So prepare for that. Now, monitor the injury wire this week before you put up your waivers, and check my X feed for updates to help you plan. In many leagues, Week 8 is the last one you can trade players. So take this last opportunity to build a team for the playoffs. Now, before we sign off, I want to give a shout out to our men and women in uniform who protect the freedoms we hold dear. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. That'll do it for tonight. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and follow us on X, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you can stay up to date on our latest content. And until then, remember, established dominance isn't just a catchphrase, it's a commitment. Are you ready?